and season tickets are on sale now. Visit thenashvillecats.com or the Municipal Auditorium box office.
March is here, and Boombaz is your headquarters for every buzzer beater, upset, and Cinderella story. With every game on our big screens, ice-cold drinks, and the best pizza in town. You won't want to watch anywhere else. Grab your crew, claim your spot, and enjoy the excitement. Don't miss a minute. Catch all the tournament action at your local Boombaz at East Nashville, Spring Hill, and Murfreesboro.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. And you may say, how beautiful? 50 degrees. A heck of a lot better than yesterday. And more good weather apparently is on the way with next week, virtually the entire week in the 60s up towards 70. Kelly Holcomb, not with us today. I think he's up in Cookeville as part of the TSSAA stuff. Billy Derrick is alongside, and not only will he have an update momentarily, but what else?
A March Madness scoreboard update.
Okay. Would you like to do that first?
Yeah, let's do that first.
That'd be very exciting.
Yes, riveting. We've got a lot of scores to get to, and this scoreboard update is brought to you by the Kentucky-Gonzaga matchup at Bridgestone Arena. These two national powers square off on Friday, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena. Tickets go on sale this Friday, tomorrow at bridgestonearena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. All right, we're going to start in the SEC. On the women's side of things, Vandy beats Tennessee 84-76. Their first time beating Tennessee twice in the same season in program history. So history being made today up in Greenville, South Carolina. But the bad news, they got to play number 1 seed South Carolina tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. So it gets tougher a lot quicker as we know in the SEC, especially on the women's side for the Commodores. Also, the next game today, Oklahoma takes down Georgia 70-52. Also in the OVC on the women's side, Southern Indiana and Little Rock. I had that filled in and forgot to write down the score of that one. Also getting underway right now, Western Illinois and Eastern Illinois getting underway right now. And
trying to overcome a little screw up there?
Yeah, a little screw up. The final, Southern Indiana over Little Rock 73-62 in the OVC. Also, Arch Madness underway. Missouri Valley, Southern Illinois knocks off Indiana State 86-85 with a game-winning layup with 4 seconds left. They, as in Southern Illinois, will now play Drake tomorrow. So you can fill in Southern Illinois there in this bracket. If you're watching on the podcast, they will play Drake tomorrow. And also Missouri State and Illinois State getting underway right now. The winner plays Belmont tomorrow. So
got a score for you on that one. Illinois State 18, Missouri State 17.
Okay, so winner will play Belmont tomorrow there in the Missouri Valley tournament. So that is your March Madness scoreboard update. And we've got more hoops to talk about in the update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. The Atlantic Sun, of course, continues tonight with the 2 semifinals. At 6, it's Jacksonville at North Alabama, and then at 7 o'clock tonight, Queens at Lipscomb. So
we will have a report on that Lipscomb-Queens game in about 12 minutes.
Also in the Conference USA Not the tournament yet, but a huge regular season game tonight at 6:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Liberty at MTSU. Both teams fighting for a share of first place, or to be tied for first in the Conference USA. It's a big one in Murfreesboro tonight. Also, the OVC tournament on the men's side tonight. TSU in action against Lindenwood at 8:30. That is the quarterfinal up in Evansville. So that's what we've got basketball-wise. I was checking today to see if Joe Lenardi had a latest bracketology, and the latest is still Tuesdays. So he hasn't updated. He usually does Tuesday, Thursday, right?
He's normally Tuesday, Friday. What he has done is he has put Xavier into the last position. I don't know who he took and blew out, but Xavier he now has in. That's all I know. Okay,
Musketeers are just in, so we'll update tomorrow, actually, on the bracketology. News in the NHL, the Preds have traded Tommy Novak and Luke Shen to Pittsburgh for forward Michael Bunting and a fourth-round pick in 2026. This one's a head-scratcher. Although I don't know much about Bunting. So
yeah, I'll admit I don't know a lot. I know that Barry Trotz is coming in for a lot of heat about it. I'm not sure I know enough to know good, bad, or indifferent. Just being honest.
Also in college football, Dan Lanning has agreed to a new contract with Oregon that will raise his average annual salary close to $11 million. The new deal will run for 6 years. So no surprise there. Lanning done a phenomenal job at Oregon. He will be staying there for the next 6 years, at least as of right now. Also in the NFL, the Chargers have released Joey Bosa, saving them $25 million in cap space. That's a weird move to me.
Well, it apparently is one where they had a salary cap gun put to their head. Joey Bosa is an absolute hoss. And wherever he ends up, man, somebody has come away with something really good. Joey Bosa can flat out play.
Oh, yeah. He made it clear throughout the season that he wanted to be a Charger for life, and he took a pay cut last offseason to stay with the team. So
yeah,
this is where he wanted to be. But like you said, the Chargers, I don't think really had much of an option financially here to do anything.
No, the likelihood that they wanted to get rid of him is zero.
Yeah, well, another move in the NFL, the Browns have once again restructured Deshaun Watson's contract.
Good Lord.
They have cleared nearly $36 million in cap space. Before this move, they were about $22 million over the cap. So he's got 2 years left on his deal. But you wonder if they elect to take a guy like Cam Ward with the second overall pick. I know you've got Deshaun Watson there, but at what point do you start to veer away from him? I mean, he's been out, sitting on the bench more than he's played there.
Billy, here's the thing. You're going to have a series of probably distortions, at times out and out lies. All of a sudden, the Titan camp seems to be putting out the, we're Cam Ward. Who knows whether it's true or not? And all of this is designed probably to try to get more trade suitors, more people who say, wait a minute, I want him. Let's talk. And so it's a crazy time. And until the draft, which I think is like April the 24th, something like that.
Yeah.
Until that happens, don't believe a word of anything you hear.
This is such a loony bin time in the NFL.
It is.
Another Ohio team, the other team in Ohio, the Bengals, they have given Pro Bowl edge rusher Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade. First, Sam Hubbard retires, and now this.
Yeah, and I don't pretend to know quite what's going on in Cincinnati, except to say it doesn't sound good.
No, I mean, what in the world? Those two guys, specifically against the Titans, have torched the Titans, and now they're both gone. They're off the edge with Hubbard retiring, and now Hendrickson apparently wanting out. But again, they can still make a move to keep him. But that's what you got in Cincinnati, and that's what we've got in the update.
Wow. Not much there, was there?
Yeah, there's really not. Auburn fired their women's basketball coach, Johnny Harris, after 4 seasons. So you had that.
And why would that have been?
Well, she went 58-63 in 4 seasons as head coach. Only won 3 games this year in the SEC.
So their tournament is in Greenville.
Yep.
And it looked like, and I don't know, I didn't see today, but yesterday, a lot of empty seats.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's been a very highly attended tournament over the years. Although South Carolina tomorrow, they will fill that place up.
Yeah, you would think so. Look, on Vanderbilt's end of it, they knew that if they got by Tennessee, the reward would be South Carolina. And you can view that however you want to view it. If I'm one of their players, I want to know where I stack up against the absolute best.
Yep.
Because South Carolina is up there at the absolute, whether you think it's UConn, South Carolina, whatever. You know, they're one of the 2 or 3 best, depending on how you look at it.
Well, Vandy's legit. I mean, I don't know what their bracketology outlook is right now. I did see somewhere where I thought I saw where they could be an 8 seed.
You're talking about on the women's side.
Yeah.
What's their what is their record?
Their record.
And while we're at it, what's Tennessee's situation?
Vandy is 22-9, 8-8 in the SEC, and so is Tennessee. 22-9, 8-8 in the SEC.
Okay.
But Tennessee somehow is ranked number 18 in the country.
Got better non-conference wins, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah,
they beat UConn in Knoxville?
That's probably the case. They did beat UConn. Probably carries some weight.
Yeah.
But that's crazy that that's the first time Vandy's beaten Tennessee twice in the same season ever. I mean, that tells you how much they've dominated Vandy over the years.
Yeah. So let me do this real quickly. We're in a tad bit of a stall for just a minute. We are going to do next Tuesday, and we have not had a lot of time to get the word out on this. One of these lunch kind of live audience shows. And what this will consist of are a series of what I would call SEC basketball color analyst types. My buddy Tim Thompson will be a part of that. My buddy Mark Griffin will be a part of that. I am not releasing the other 2 names because I am not 100% certain. But to say that it's timely would be an understatement because the SEC tournament begins the day after. Anyway, 11:30 to about 12:45 here at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. If you want us to save you a seat, you got to do one thing. Email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. If you have not been to one of these that we have done before, they have gone really well. They've been a ton of fun. And the people who we have had have really enjoyed being a part of it.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. I mean, for basketball fans, especially SEC basketball fans, you're not going to want to miss that this Tuesday or next Tuesday here at Fordyce Center. Also, I forgot to mention this in the March Madness scoreboard update. The TSSAA basketball state tournament's going on in Cookeville right now on the women's side. Earlier today, the Kings Academy beat PCA 57-36. And then on the men's side, PCA defeated Goodpasture 76-70 in a really good game. That was a game Kelly was actually at. And so PCA moves on. They will play the winner of BGA in St. George's tonight at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
In Cookeville.
I may have a little interest in seeing that.
And then in Division II AAA, you've got NBA and Ensworth both in the semifinal round. They will play Tomorrow. That's correct. Tomorrow. So there's all kinds of games going on. So NBA and Ensworth are both in action tomorrow.
Okay, after the break, we got a busy 3 o'clock hour. We'll be joined for a few minutes by BGA football coach Bobby Bentley. I'm going to ask him to try to explain for us the new TSSAA transfer rule. I'm going to leave it to him because I don't totally get what all's behind it. Then Joey Dwyer will join us with a live update from Allen Arena on the Lipscomb University campus. They play Queens tonight. They are 2 wins away from the NCAA tournament. And then the promoter of the Kentucky-Gonzaga game, Brooks Downing, he'll join us around 3:40. A lot to take in. College basketball insiders at 4 o'clock. Lee Fowler and Ron Bargatze will go to our first break. We'll tell you this is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. 2 of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Happy home game day, Predators fans. The Preds are back on home ice at Bridgestone Arena tonight, hosting the Seattle Kraken at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 6 before the game at 7. See you in Smashville.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Okay, real quickly, a score of interest out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Illinois State now cruising to a 32-21 lead on Missouri State. The reason that may be of some importance in Nashville, the winner of that game will take on Belmont tomorrow at 2:30, and we will have a reporter on site at what is called Arch Madness in St. Louis. I mentioned earlier, BGA football coach Bobby Bentley is going to join us here in just a second. I want to read for you what came out earlier this week out of the TSSAA in what is called the transfer rule and residence rule. It says the first time the student transfers to another school due to a significant academic, social, emotional, environmental, or mental health need, the sending school's administration must attest that the move is not for athletic or disciplinary reasons. With that, we say hello to Coach Bobby Bentley. Bobby, I know you're on your way to Cookeville. Get our guys a win tonight.
Yes, we're excited, George. Great hearing from you.
Hey, first of all, thank you for doing this on your way up there. Kind of talk to me a little bit about what really is going on with the transfer rule, what it means, and why was this implemented?
Well, first of all, George, I can't really tell you what it means because I really do not understand it. I've been doing this a while and being a high school coach and in another state and recruiting in multiple states across the United States. It's just going to be hard to say what is a social, educational, psychological, environmental issue. I'm not sure how you're going to define that. I think you're just opening yourself up to a lot of issues. It's just hard to explain, George. So when you say explain, I'm not sure I can explain it. I just think of what would be better is just a one-time transfer and let the schools handle it and not deal with emotional, environmental. I'm not sure what that is. And I've raised 5 kids myself in my own home. We've had social and environmental and educational issues every night they came home. So I'm not sure what we're doing here.
So you're like a lot of folks who really are kind of questioning this, aren't you?
I'll be a team player. I'll do what we got to do, but I just don't see how it's going to be enforced. I'm not sure what that means. It's just going to be tough on a coach. I know in 2006 in South Carolina, I had a kid that was ineligible the entire season, and they said he didn't have a legal residence change. And, all of a sudden the kid loses his senior year pretty much because he didn't. But he had a residence in our district, and he was at our school. And it's just you got to think about the kids first. And sometimes we don't do that, and we try to keep rules that maybe not the makes the most sense, put it like that.
Yep. I think I know where you're going there. So I think people would be interested in knowing on the high school level, what kind of stuff goes on? What do football coaches have their players doing when it's not football season? And I guess in some cases they're having to juggle a little bit because some may be playing basketball, some baseball, some track. What all goes on?
Well, at a school like Battleground, a lot of 2/3 of our football players in other sports, which is why we're headed to the basketball game now, the semifinals. We have 3 starters on the team play football. And, we've got guys in baseball right now. We've got guys in track. And, our guys are busy at other sports. But the ones that, are not in other sports, and even the guys that are in other sports, in the morning, we lift weights before school. We believe in team training, George. Some schools do it in class. Some schools do it after school. Some schools do it different ways. But we believe in sweat equity, which, we're going to do it before school. We start school at 8:30. So we go from 7:15 to 8 o'clock, 8:15, and then they get to class after we work out. And we're working out Monday through Thursday every morning.
So here's what I'm curious about. On the college level, you've seen some schools that have said, screw it, we're not going to do the spring game anymore. And I guess it's gotten harder. On the high school level, do high schools have a spring game?
Well, some states, it just depends on the state association. In South Carolina, we did not have a spring game. We had 10 days of spring practice, could not do a game. My sons played high school ball in Alabama and in Florida, and they have a spring game like we do in Tennessee. But, in Tennessee, it's not widespread. We had to find a team out of Memphis to play us in the spring game because a lot of teams locally, they don't do a spring game. But I think it's good for the kids that we have a 7-day practice window. We do practice for 7 days, and then we have a spring game on May the 16th. But to each his own. Every program, every coach thinks of his way is best, and we think the best way to do it is get us 6 to 7 practices in the spring, and let's have a spring game, and we'll script the spring game with Whitehaven coming in from Memphis, and we'll have a good kind of like an OTA if you think about the NFL model.
When you say script, are you saying basically, okay, the first 15 plays, here's what we're running no matter what?
More script like this, George, like Coach Salisbury, we're going to do first down and 10 from the 20-yard line. We'll do 8 plays, you do 8 plays. And then we'll go, in the red zone, we'll go 10 plays, at the 5-yard line. And then we'll do some inside run while we're doing 7-on-7. That's when I'll say script. And then we'll do some live. We'll do some, just what we call thud or tag, and not do as much contact because, the game of football has changed a little bit, and you can coach the game without having to go to the ground.
Bobby, I'll ask you one more thing I'm kind of curious about, and then talk a little camp stuff. How would you compare high school football in this state to the other places you've been?
I think in parts, it's as competitive as any state. And, I've got a lot of experience in South Carolina, Florida, and Alabama. I would be the 3 that I would compare it to. We just had a team drop us today. Our first game, the guy dropped us, the guy to Kentucky, but we got to find a game, and we got a chance to call. I called Auburn, Alabama, and I was with our co-DC, and we were talking about it. We would match up with some of the better teams in those states. I think it's just a matter of when you say the entire state of Alabama, it might be a little above it as far as some areas, but when you talk about different pockets, this area of football, and you talk about the teams that we played there in the playoffs, and the teams, there's some good football. The Ravenwoods, those guys, they got really good players. We scrimmaged them. They've got good players that they can compete against teams in any of those states I just mentioned: Florida, South Carolina, Alabama. Now, could everybody in that region do it? I'm not sure. I don't know if they could.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. Answer your question.
Yeah. Last thing, you are an extremely good teacher of football, and I know you got some camps coming. I'm giving you a freebie here. Absolutely tell people what you're up to with the camps.
Well, I have a lot of parents, including my wife. She mentioned, how we used to train the boys, my own sons, on the weekends, and we'd go out there and just do a little clinic, and other kids would join us. And that's kind of where we started with it. We just basically, George, what we're doing a 2-hour football clinic for all positions. So they'll have position-specific drills so that you'll have quarterback drills, you'll have running back drills, you have defensive line drills, linebacker drills, and you're all going to be in a coach with a position-specific code for 30 minutes of individual drills, 30 minutes of speed and agility drills, and 30 minutes of group work, which you'll be working with the wide receivers. If you're a quarterback, you'll be working with the DBs and the linebackers together. And then we'll do a one-on-one team session for 30 minutes. So the kid will get it in small pieces and then get some group team efforts as well. And it was very successful over the years for me. And, even going back to when I was coaching down at Auburn, I would train the Muschamp boys when we would throw. And I miss those days of doing those little training sessions. And it just goes back to, like you said, being a teacher. And sometimes you miss it. And I just want to do it with grades 3 through 8. So we're not doing it with high school kids. I want to do it with little kids and break it into groups where you got a grade 3 through 5 and then a grade 6 through 8, George. So we'll be in 2 different groups so the kids can get age-specific training as well.
Those of you who are listening on radio, later, if you will take a look at our podcast, the same stuff, but you'll see that Billy has put a graphic together of exactly what Bobby is talking about with all the information that you may want or need if we've sparked your interest a little bit. Bobby, thank you so much for the visit. Get them a win, and I'll probably see you on Saturday.
It's always great talking with the voice of Nashville, man. You appreciate all you do.
You're nice to say that, Bobby. Thank you. And by the way, I promise to be healthy a year from now when it comes to banquet time.
Yeah, you owe me, man. You owe me.
I know it. Thanks, Bobby.
Never let you live it down. See you, buddy.
See you. So you know the story, Billy. I was asked to MC his banquet and got sick as a dog.
That's a shame.
So I called him a couple of days later. I said, "How'd the banquet go?" He said, "It went fine." I said, "Who emceed it?" And he said, You're talking to who emceed it." And he goes, "Next year, you're going to be 100% healthy and you're going to do it." Okay. So much for that. I wanted to find out what the whole transfer rule thing was about. And it sounds like he doesn't get it any more than a lot of people don't get it. Strange deal. Anyway, tonight, Lipscomb is 2 victories away from going to the NCAA tournament on the men's side. They play Queens tonight. Let's say hello to Joey Dwyer, who joins us from Allen Arena. Joey, first of all, thanks for taking the time. This thing appears to be set up and very favorable for Lipscomb, but there is this cautionary tale that Queens came in here earlier in the year and beat the Bisons. What do you know about that? Were you there that night?
Yeah, I was there for a good bit of it, especially was there for the second half collapse. That was actually the night of the College Football National Championship, so eyes were obviously elsewhere. But Lipscomb outplayed Queens for 35 minutes of that game probably and just completely fell apart down the stretch. Lipscomb basically beat itself in that game. And I don't think Queens is a terrible matchup for it. I don't think that game overly concerns me. I think it was one of those games where you could tell Lipscomb was pretty obviously the better team in that game, but it didn't show in the end result because of Lipscomb's maybe lack of focus down the stretch, and the mistakes just kind of piled up. So it's got to avoid that. But you saw the last game it played against Queens. Obviously, it came out there and probably played its best second half of the year. 94 points in the game as a whole. I think like 60 something in the second half. So I would think that game wouldn't be an indicator of kind of how this matchup it is. It just completely unraveled for Lipscomb down the stretch, and we'll see if that haunts it, but I don't expect that to really play a factor in terms of how I view this matchup.
It appears that Lipscomb has been able to keep their focus. Central Arkansas, they had to beat them a week ago to clinch this 1 seed. Then they had to beat them Monday night. it's a team that on paper shouldn't have given them any trouble, and in truth, they didn't.
Yeah, I thought that was a really impressive showing by Lipscomb. Central Arkansas came out and banked in a three, and then the next possession down the floor, shot a three over one of Lipscomb's guys who switched out on a ball screen. And you just felt like, man, is Central Arkansas coming and just going to be nuclear tonight and a team that Lipscomb can't beat? Obviously, it slowed down a little bit, and Lipscomb just continued to keep its foot on the gas. You felt for like 2 minutes that maybe the Lipscomb would find a way to blow this game like it did the opener in the ASUN tournament last year, but it obviously didn't have that fate. I was a little worried in the first Central Arkansas game. I thought there were some signs of them taking their foot off the gas in that game that they won the ASUN title in, but overall, I thought the focus was really good in that first game, and I was really impressed with the showing they put together, all things considered. It felt like Central Arkansas had some momentum coming into that game, and Lipscomb just kind of ran it off the floor in a couple ways.
Does Queens have the manpower, maybe manpower isn't the right word, more the matchup to handle Ignacevic?
I would say so. Their best player is a guy from Fresno State. He's not a similar build to Ignacevic, a little bit skinnier, a little bit longer, but one of the better players in the league, and I would say one of the better players at that position in the league. So he's going to have his work cut out for him. Obviously, Queens came in here and shot the lights out of the ball in the last 10 minutes last time, but you just generally feel like Lipscomb is more talented and honestly just a better all-around group, but that's not often what matters this time of year. It generally just matters who plays better in one night and who makes shots more than the other team, who has more focus that night. And I think that's what's really going to define this game for Lipscomb. I don't think it's a terrible matchup. I think Lipscomb has better guards. I think the matchup with the four is somewhat comparable. And Lipscomb seems to be playing much better basketball than it did the first time it played Queens. That was a long time ago. Lipscomb since won 8 of 9, which I think is also a factor worth noting here. But you always have to take every game in the ASUN tournament kind of at face value, right? It's not a game that's going to be like any other game throughout the year. It's a completely different animal. And I think that's where the concern comes for Lipscomb, because over the years, you've just seen them falter in games that they should have won in this event. And that feels like it's kind of haunting this program right now.
So you feel that they're feeling the pressure of what they're trying to do?
I think Lenny Acuff will tell you that they're not feeling the pressure of what they're trying to do, but they did tell me after they won the ASUN, and I thought this stood out to me, it's always hard to win when you're supposed to win. And I think that's been weighing on this group a little bit throughout the regular season. I feel like it's weighed on it a little bit throughout the postseason. Maybe they won't tell you that, but you just feel like they know that this is their last chance. They know that they're not going to ever have Joe Anderson playing for them again. Will Pruitt's not going to play for them. Jacob Ognacevic has another year, but from all indications is not going to use it here. This is the last ride with this group, not to mention Jossie Powell. So probably their 4 best guys are gone whenever they lose their last game, which will at least be in the NIT. But I think they're certainly feeling that if it's not now, then when will it be?
Okay, last thing. This has felt like for a while that it's set up for a Lipscomb North Alabama final. Do they want North Alabama if they win, or would they just as soon avoid that?
Yeah, I don't know. North Alabama, I think, is certainly the second best team in the league. Lipscomb still really wasn't counted out in any metric from beating North Alabama at Florence Hall a few weeks ago. But they're different in that place than they are on the road, and I think that helps Lipscomb. But, man, that's going to be their toughest matchup if they get it. Jacksonville, obviously, pretty capable as well. McCray's probably the best player in the league besides Jacob Ognacevic. So you're thinking that they would like to probably avoid North Alabama, but you think that anybody they're going to see in the championship, whether it's North Alabama or Jacksonville, is going to give them a run. That's just kind of how this event works. It's just kind of how this time of year works. So I don't know that they would prefer anybody. Lenny Acuff said when somebody asked him a few days ago, who would you rather play? He said, I'd rather have a bye. So I think they're going to be prepared regardless of who they're playing. But, yeah, I think North Alabama is definitely the more challenging matchup out of the two. Unfortunately for North Alabama, it won't be at home, though, and I think it's got the best home crowd in the league.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a preview of what goes on tonight. 7 o'clock at Allen Arena. If you want to see a good basketball game, this would be a good place to head. Joey Dwyer, thank you as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Long day starting at Vandy Fall Camp or Spring Ball this morning and ending at Allen Arena. Not many better places to end it in the city.
Yeah, suck it up. Talk to you.
Talk to you later. Thanks, George.
After the break, and we thank Joey Dwyer for joining us after the break, Brooks Downing, he's the promoter of the Gonzaga Kentucky game. The tickets go on sale tomorrow morning, and he will join us next on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. Two of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today. PancoastBenefits.com or call them at 615-292-3400.
Here on 94.9 The Fan.
Wow, listen to that. We welcome all of you back on a beautiful Thursday afternoon in Nashville. I'm aiming what you're about to hear not only to people in Nashville, but as our signal goes up toward northern Middle Tennessee in the Springfield area, Westmoreland, Clarksville, and up into southern Kentucky, there are a lot of University of Kentucky fans who simply cannot get tickets at Rupp Arena. And that's one of the things about a great program that makes it hard. Well, with that in mind, promoter Brooks Downing has set up a game in Nashville on Friday, December the 5th, between the University of Kentucky and Gonzaga, and he joins us by phone from up in Lexington. Brooks, how you doing?
Doing great, George. How are you?
Good. What did Hugh Durham? Hugh Durham called it the blue mist. That was such a great line that he used.
Yeah, I actually had reason to go out to the Kentucky at Oklahoma game last week, and other than what the way Big Blue Nation shows up in Nashville for the Vanderbilt games, this was just almost as big of a crowd. It's amazing how many Kentucky fans are spread around. And, but this is so much more, George, than just that too, because when you're talking about Kentucky Gonzaga, I mean, Gonzaga's been one of the, under Mark Few has been one of the most dominant programs in college basketball the last couple of decades. And to have both of them playing in Nashville, what strikes me about Nashville is not just a destination location for Kentucky fans or Gonzaga fans. They're asking even for more tickets, but it's a big event town now. And so, everybody listening to your broadcast today and within range of the George Plaster Show on a daily basis, this is a big event. And this is an opportunity to be a part of something on a Friday night in Nashville that's going to sell out.
Brooke, Scott Ramsey and I used to laugh. If Kentucky got eliminated early from the SEC tournament when it's been here, there's economic distress downtown. Billy Derrick, for our podcast, just put a picture of downtown Nashville with the entire blue mist. They are the most amazing fan base in college basketball. I don't think anybody will argue it.
Yeah, and there's a number of folks. Look, I mean, I'm in the space, right? We run a ton of college basketball games all over the country and in other locations outside the country throughout the year. We ran 55 games in November and December this year alone. And now we run the Big West tournament next week in Las Vegas. So we do a ton. And the SEC tournament has found a unbelievable home there at Bridgestone Arena, the perfect spot, the perfect location. And yet there's folks that can't get tickets. I mean, it's like going to the Maui Invitational and the Kentucky fans are outside trying to sneak in the windows, right? I mean, it's just, there's not enough tickets still for a fan base like this when you have a blue blood that is in the Southeastern Conference. So this is an opportunity where the entire arena pretty much is open to Kentucky fans, and they've never experienced that in Nashville, Tennessee in the past.
Brooks, tell people how this will go down tomorrow when you open up the public sale.
Public sale starts at 10 a.m. Central Time. They're with Ticketmaster. The response this week, and these events always come with a pre-sale. You have to do that to take care of certain groups within the universities and so forth, as well as the arena pre-sale. Those have taken place since Monday, and I'll tell you the response has been overwhelming. There's still plenty of courtside. There's plenty of lower arena and plenty of upper arena, but there's a big chunk that have already been, distributed because the enthusiasm. I think there are people that had access like through the UK season ticket pass or through the Bridgestone Arena link that were buying tickets for even some of their friends that didn't have those accesses. It appears, but it's been incredibly well received, and the chatter, even here, you identified the parts of Western Kentucky and South Central Kentucky and fans that either it's too far away for most games or just can't get access to Rupp Arena. Well, I'm telling you right now, there's people in Cincinnati, Indianapolis, St. Louis, all points around this region that are driving in for this game because it's in Nashville, Tennessee. That's why they're coming. And that's the beauty of the location and the beauty of an unbelievable arena in Bridgestone.
So I'm going to put words in your mouth. Don't wait until 11 o'clock Central Time tomorrow morning. Get on the horn at 10.
We're looking for the servers to crash. That's what we're thinking might happen at today. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I would be teed up and ready to go at the top of the hour of the morning. And so have your coffee, be logged in and ready to go because it's going to go quick. Now, Also, having said that, and I will send this to you, George, so you can put it on your social media if you haven't already. There are some VIP packages. So for those maybe outside the city that want to come in for the game, we've got a 2-night stay there at the beautiful JW Marriott. We've got an exclusive VIP event attached to it. Might even be, I think there's hospitality passes to the Lexus Club there at Bridgestone Arena during the game. It's a really nice package. I'll send you this down, and you can hit your channels on it as well.
Hey, tell me this before we let you go, because I've had a couple of people ask this. What is the biggest hurdle to trying to get one of these to happen?
It's truly, and that's a great question, George. I've not been asked before, but I'm looking at our board for 2025, 26, and our crew has put together a schedule in December, and there might be some more games headed your way. We'll talk about at another time when we firm them up, but there's probably a dozen games in December. Right now in our favor as an operator of neutral site events has been the whole concept of NIL. And so being able to do some NIL events, name, image, and likeness in the marketplace for your team to raise dollars that are, have become an important part of building a successful team. That's it. But then when you look at Kentucky and you see what the Wildcats have on their schedule every year, and first and foremost, they have to have 20 home games to meet budget. So that's critical. That includes their 2 exhibition games. That includes their home SEC games. So all of a sudden now you're down to 11 games that you can play, and you're not going to, some of those are going to be road SEC games. So now you're just down to a handful. And oh, wait a minute, I'm locked into a game with Louisville. I'm locked into a series with Indiana. And you start checking these boxes, and you could go out for 5 years on Kentucky, and they may have one open date, just one. So when you talk about having this game in Nashville, Tennessee, it's really all the stars aligning, and a tip of the hat to Coach Calipari for getting together with Mark Few, as we talked about last time, during a fundraiser for the floods in eastern Kentucky, and Mark Few called in to donate. Next thing you know, they're playing a game together, a series together, and one of the destination stops was identified to be Nashville. And then even that, you have such a popular arena in Bridgestone, finding the right date that works for both teams. There was some question whether we could even make it happen. So there is a lot of hurdles along the way. It's not just easy as going, hey, I'm going to pay you this, I'm going to pay you that, let's play. It doesn't just happen like that.
Brooks, I'm laughing. I remember, and it may still be going on, where Kentucky graduating seniors would do kind of a barnstorming tour of various cities in Kentucky. And it was when I was doing Vanderbilt's games, and Dan Lange was, I want to say, had committed to Vandy. I may be wrong in what I'm babbling, but we actually did a show up at Lange's high school. And it was a group of former Vandy players and a group of former Kentucky players. And that taught me everything I needed to know about the power of blue mist.
Yes. And even I'll go back even further too. If you remember, we used to take blue-white games. Rick Pitino did this in the 90s. And if you had, let's say, the Unforgettables, with Darren Feldhouse, we take him to Mason County and play a game. Richie Farmer, take him to Manchester, Clay County, down in southeastern Kentucky, play a game. And like, you couldn't move in the building. It was like a scene out of the one of the games at Hoosiers. It was just,
right.
It was packed. And it's just an incredible display. And I think that's just what, you got to remember, and George, that's where we first met. I was the PR director for the basketball team at Kentucky. That's how I came up in this space, and that's what teed me up to have success as an operator today. Just all the people you meet, like yourself and others in the business, and the relationships you build. But when you talk about Kentucky basketball and the state of Kentucky being a small state of 4 million people that doesn't have a lot to hang its hat on, Kentucky basketball always brought that pride and joy to the folks out in the hollers, in the Western Plains, here in Central Kentucky. It was from Pikeville to Paducah. It was something to be proud of, which they gravitated to, and it's been that way since Adolph Rupp arrived there in 1930. And so, I mean, it's hard to change that culture, and it's a beautiful thing to witness.
It really is. Brooks, when I met Scott Padgett when he was going to Samford, we ended up meeting through Martin Newton, and I told him, I said, we were y'all's senior night, the 96 team that, was so good. And
Yep.
we were senior night. And I told him, I said, it felt like the damn Christians versus the Lions. You know exactly what I mean.
Oh yeah. There's several of those stories.
Hey,
too many to mention in 10 minutes.
Yeah, we'll share some of those down the road. Give people one more time what's going to happen in the morning.
So first public sale of these tickets. The game again, Kentucky versus Gonzaga, Bridgestone Arena, December 5th. Public sale tickets go on sale tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. Ticketmaster.com. You know where to find it on your app. Log in, buy as many as you can. We can't wait to see you 1st of December.
Brooks, thank you for doing this on short notice.
Anytime, George. Just call. Love to have you anchor a show down there on Broadway. Game day, you should be there on the plaza. We'll tee you up. It'll be an unbelievable experience for the George Plaster Show. Let's make that happen.
You know what? I'm accepting right now. How about that?
Let's go.
We're in. Let's do it.
All right.
Talk to you.
Consider it done.
I love it. Brooks, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's Brooks Downing. He is the promoter of this event that is going to absolutely create as tight a sellout as you'll ever see in that building.
I wonder how many Kentucky fans will be there.
Ooh, I would say
because what's the capacity for basketball in there?
It depends. They've gotten
19, right?
The guy that could answer that question better than anybody is my friend Russ Simons. When they first started hosting the SEC tournament, they wanted to get over 20,000, and they packed that place to the gills.
Yeah.
The fire marshal must have been out on spring break. Anyway, we'll go to the break, then we'll have stat of the day, and then the college basketball insiders. Lee Fowler has no clue what's coming, but it will get right to the core of what a selection committee has to deal with. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Hey everybody, Chip Walters here to the final week of the regular season in Conference USA. This Thursday night, big matchup with the Flames of Liberty. 6:30 tip-off at the Murphy Center. On the air at 6 o'clock on the Blue Raider Network.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. Two of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get up to 40% off in every department, including 4K TVs, computers and accessories, Bluetooth headphones, furniture, and more. Plus, we have all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. And buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com with express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Coming up, college basketball insiders Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler for all things college hoops. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to applecollisioncenters.com. All right, here's where we're going today. More college hoops. Auburn may be the number one seed in the SEC at the moment, but Florida sure is making it tricky. Who was the coach of the Gators the last time they were the number one seed in the SEC tournament?
The number one seed in the SEC tournament?
Yep.
You know what? Let's dump this in Lee Fowler's lap and make him help me with it. Lee, how you doing?
I'm doing great, George. Billy, how you doing?
Good, Lee.
So, okay, the easy, obvious would be Billy Donovan, but is that it?
It's too easy, George. I don't think that's it, but I have very little idea of who that would be.
Okay, who succeeded Donovan? Why am I having a blank out here? Who succeeded Billy Donovan?
Not Danny White.
Michael White.
Mike White. Yeah.
Okay, Mike White. Lee, did Mike White ever get them to a one seed?
I don't remember if he did. He may have the first year real soon in his start there, but I don't remember him being a number one seed.
Is it also possible it's before Billy Donovan? And I can't imagine. Let's just go Billy Donovan, heck. Let's see what you got.
It is Billy Donovan.
Oh, yeah. It was too obvious, and I almost gagged it because it felt too obvious.
That's a lot easier than the last 4 or 5 stat of the days.
But George, the best thing about it, you couldn't figure anybody else. I mean, there wasn't anybody even close.
What you're saying, and it's accurate, is I got it by default.
No. I'm just saying it's a great question. You think it's so obvious, but you can't come with any other Florida teams that were good enough to be there. He's really the only guess.
Yeah. I'll have a Florida memory here in just a second. Let's be official and say we're into the 4 o'clock hour. From our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, Lee Fowler, who just joined us a moment ago, is the former athletic director at NC State. Before that, at MTSU, he was the chairman of the NCAA Basketball Selection Committee back in 2002 or 1? Two. But most importantly, he was my color analyst at Memphis State. And then we have, in the right-hand picture, if you're watching by way of podcast, Coach Ron Bargatze, considered by most to be the foremost expert when it comes to basketball in the city of Nashville. And now looking to ride the coattails of the ultra successful nephew, Nate Bargatze, who I turned on the TV yesterday, and Coach B, he's got a national commercial.
Well, Nate is Nate is on a roll, and I don't think he's going to fall off too soon. But he's really having a great run here, and we're proud of him, and not only for how well he does commercially, but what kind of person he is. So that's great.
Because before we go any farther, it wasn't always quite like this. I mean, he paid his dues to get to this.
Yeah, he spent a lot of 11 to 2 a.m. On the streets, getting people to come in to see him and playing in front of the masses of 2 and 3 people many nights. So a lot of time in Chicago, New York, and L.A. to get here, and so he deserves it.
Good for him. Awesome. Lee, I'm going to start with you because to me, I'm about to hit the issue that to me has got to be the toughest thing for a selection committee to try to figure. And that is somebody like an SEC team, let's say Oklahoma in this case, who's right on the bubble. And Billy, when you want to put all this stuff up, go ahead and do it. There we've got Oklahoma sitting at 17-12, right on the bubble. You got Drake at the mid-major level, killing it in the Missouri Valley, 27-3. Then you got Boise State, who is considered either last in or first out at 22-8 in an up-and-coming Mountain West Conference. Lee, we've put up things like Quad 1, Quad 2, net ranking, strength of schedule. How hard is it to determine what Drake really is and what an Oklahoma really is when they're not playing the same kind of people?
Yeah, they're really not, George. And you know that Drake is a really good basketball team and not just a flash in the pan. They've been good for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Boise State's a very good team. Oklahoma, they're in a great conference, but sometimes I think this year, especially from what I've listened to with the talking heads, which we are talking heads, is that the SEC is so good. I mean, it's like they're going to put everybody in. Well, you still got some teams that are Oklahoma's 17-12, and they've lost 12 times. And that's a lot of losses in a year, even though they're in a great conference. They're helped, no question, that they're in the SEC. And so every night they play, they're getting bumps from who Alabama's played and beaten and who's Florida played and beaten. So they're getting a lot of that quarter of percentage that somebody they may have lost to, but they pull all those numbers. So, I mean, those are, I don't know who did that. I know probably Billy did, but that's a great example of what they'll be dealing with if Drake doesn't win their league. And it looks hard, but to me, I would say that you got 10 people in the room voting. I would think that Drake or Boise would be the ones that are stronger than Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's helped so much by just the league they're in.
Well, Indiana State last year in the same, not the same league, right? They
yes,
same league,
same league. Do you want to tell Lee, by the way, who put this together?
Yeah, George actually put this together, Lee.
Billy, you hurt me there, boy. I'm telling you.
But no, Indiana State last year. I mean, did they not deserve to be in, Lee?
I don't remember last year, but I know they had a lot of wins, and I always went with the luckily in my career, I came out of those leagues and I realized how hard it is to go on the road and win games. And I think coaches realize that. And, Oklahoma's lost 4 or 5 games that I've watched that they could have, should have won against people that aren't the top of the SEC. So I'm a big proponent of a guy, somebody that's gone 27-3. They deserve to be in this league, and as Ronnie knows, he watches it all the time. It's a very good league. It's a league that you got to show up every night, especially on the road, to win games.
So, Coach B, I want to get you in on this. And then, Lee, I want you to put your thinking cap on and try to remember maybe one of these kind of scenarios where you all had to decide, is it this guy or this guy? And you faced the little guy versus the big conference guy. Coach B, obviously Drake is one of those that if they don't win the Missouri Valley, they're kind of in that nebulous who knows what land. What do you think when you see those kind of comparisons?
Well, I've seen the Missouri Valley now for 3 years, and it's pretty amazing how good it really is. Now, most of the time they're undersized in the front court, and sometimes they run into some size. We saw Vandy run into the size that Arkansas brought to Memorial Gym this week, and sometimes that kind of size and athleticism just gets in the way. But Drake is very good. And you know the story. Their coach left and went to St. Louis from last year, and they hired a coach from Missouri, a Division II coach. He brought basically his whole team with him, and they know the system. Their valuable asset is that they have been together not just 1 and 2 years, but 3 years. And in some cases, this is their 4th year, because the transfer portal and the coach going there kind of brought them in and they're very good. But so is Northern Iowa, two really good teams. Bradley's really good. So they played good competition this year, but nothing like a lot of the Power 5 conferences.
Let me correct one thing real quickly. Darren DeVries left Drake to go to West Virginia and took his son, Tucker, who was as good a player as that league had a year ago with him.
And they didn't drop off at all.
No, it was the Indiana State coach, who, by the way, wanted the Vanderbilt job, who ended up going to St. Louis University. Coach, you were close.
I meant to say that. Did I say something different than that?
You did, and we fined you. Listen, we've taken it out of your paycheck.
Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. We saw Drake give Vandy its first loss back earlier in the year, and those guys again, they had been together for a long time, and they really, plus they made about 4 downtown threes in that game to separate themselves from Vandy, and but it also was a time when Vandy was beginning to prove itself as a real contender.
Lee, as you kind of put the thinking cap on, what do you remember? Is there one that stands out that you're like, oh, yeah, I remember, and it was a tough one to decide, and how did you all decide it?
Yeah, it was actually Butler, and we were doing all those deciding in Indianapolis, and Butler, I got death threats for them not getting in, and got a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, and you know, probably one thing I should have changed a long time ago is not have it. My phone was very open to public, and anybody could call me. And but we talked through it, and the thing about it that was amazing is they weren't the last one that didn't get in. I forget who the other team was, but they thought they should have been in, and somebody else got in instead of them, but they weren't the last team on the board. And I'll be honest with you, George, you do a lot of talking about teams in there, and there are 10 people, and then they vote secretly. They don't vote, you know, we don't ask them to tell who they're voting for. And so it's kind of amazing some of the results you see from what some of the conversations have been. But I think that's why the human people ought to be in there. They've watched games, they've seen different parts of the country games, and you come together and you share all that, and then you decide in a group of 10, the majority of people in there decide the last couple of teams and other things that are decided with seeds and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm really glad that, you know, they hadn't gone to just doing the net and taking the top net teams in there, because it doesn't always work that way. And sometimes the conversations in there, I thought, didn't exactly end up how people voted. And so I think it's tough. It's just looking at those three that I was sad to say that George picked them out, but those three are a perfect example. If those three were the last three and you had to pick one of them, that'd be a tough decision. And, it's a make of the committee. I don't know exactly. I know that North Carolina's AD is the head this year, but I'm not sure the rest of the committee. I think Alabama's AD is on the committee still. There are a lot of smaller conference guys on that committee now. So I think that probably will have some influence when it comes down to somebody has 17 wins against somebody has 26, 27 wins. But as we all know, the major conferences probably have the best talent. They have the most money. The NIL is the best with them. And therefore it's tough for those other teams to get in. But there's a lot of conversation about it in the room, and I think that's healthy for the sport of basketball.
Am I right that each member is assigned a conference to sort of give a report on?
Yeah, actually, you got 2 or 3 conferences you're supposed to be watching and be able to report on. And something that happened the year I was chair, we stopped people from talking about anybody from their own conference because we started realizing that, and this year would be a perfect example, Alabama would be talking about other people in the league. And you realize, George, and most people realize that you get money for each team that gets in and each win and each time you move ahead. So it benefits everybody in your league. So you can answer questions about people in your league, but you can't try to sell somebody in your league about they should be in.
Billy, put those 3 in there that I worked so hard on earlier. Coach B, if you had to pick the order of those 3 off the eye test of what you've seen, what would it be?
Well, I've seen Boise State on some late night TV, seen Drake several times, and I've seen Oklahoma several times. And sometimes it's hard to, how Lee Fowler, when he puts a 6-footer for all the marbles on the last hole, he triangulates everything and gets it in just the right way. That's the word of the day for
triangulate
for our quarterback from the Cleveland Browns. Last week, we had a couple of key words. I think Drake is going to be the best team of those 3, and I think Oklahoma is going to be the last of those 3.
Okay, I want to get both of y'all to comment on something that I felt like I saw Tuesday night. So Arkansas came to town and pretty well manhandled Vandy. The only other team that had gotten them in Memorial Gym quite like that was Mississippi State. And I walked out of the gym that night and I said it to some friends as we were driving home. Does any team in this conference, including Auburn, have better raw athletic skill than Arkansas? Now, we got the pictures up here of Calipari, and to be honest, I think he's done a crappy job. This team, for all the losing they've done, my God, they've got unbelievable talent. Coach B, how do you explain it?
Well, I felt like going into the season that they were going to be talented enough to, make a splash and be right there in the top 5 or 6 teams. And they've proven that of late that they have the ability to do, but they still only have, 7 scholarship players dressing out. But I'll tell you, that Brazil is an amazing athlete and so long, and he can just really dominate a team like Vandy in the paint. So I think it was a very mediocre job going in, but they seem to be getting better at the right time. And who knows, nobody wants to play them really when it comes to tournament time.
Lee, they were a human highlight film Tuesday night. There is a dunk late in the first half that Dr. J would be proud of.
I'm going to tell you that it's the first time that I can remember that Vanderbilt didn't look like they should be on the floor with a team talent-wise. Vandy does a good job, and they, kept it close and all that. But I really felt like that Arkansas, and they're all fighting for their lives now. They don't think they're going to get in, so that brings teams together when you and you have to listen all of a sudden when you may be at home when all these other games are played. Those kids want to play in the NBA, and so they may start listening to whatever Cal's telling them. And I think that's happening a little bit now. They're back against the wall, and they're really struggling and know they have to win. And because Calipari's never played real well with his teams at Vanderbilt. So I was a little shocked how well they played and how aggressive they were, but you can understand it with the position they're in.
Man, they got my attention. I'll say that. Okay, we're going to go to the break. Coach B, Kelly is not with us today, so there will be no physical violence, no threat of it.
Well, I'm not surprised that he's not there today. I am surprised, though, that he took me to task last week on the vocabulary area, and so I owe him a couple.
I'm sure you'll get those out there. Billy, you ready after the break?
I'm ready.
Good. This is 94.9, The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at bridgestonearena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. Two of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Happy home game day, Predators fans. The Preds are back on home ice at Bridgestone Arena tonight, hosting the Seattle Kraken at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 6 before the game at 7. See you in Smashville.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Got a lot of good college basketball to talk with the insiders, Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze, Coach B with some new shades, styling out. Coach B, how long have you had those?
Oh, I go through them pretty fast, George. Leave them places, sit on them. So the lifespan of my reading glasses are about 2 weeks.
That's lovely. Billy, let's let everybody know we'll open up the phone lines 4:35, 4:40, somewhere in there. If you want to get in early, do so.
Yeah, chat room will be open too on YouTube if you're watching there. Also on Twitter and Facebook if you got questions for Coach B and Lee Fowler. Guys, I want to go back to Vandy for just a second. Coach B, I'll start with you. After the Arkansas loss, do you have any, did that concern you, or was that just a bad matchup at a bad time for Vanderbilt?
Well, it wasn't much fun for them because they made a little late, kind of a late run, and they got pretty close, but it was pretty evident that they were outmanned physically, and they got 0 out of Edwards in that game, and they can't win against any team in the SEC without him contributing a little bit more.
Lee, did your opinion change much of Vandy after that one?
Not really. I think it's just one of those games they didn't play real well, and it was not a good game, not a good team with the talent Arkansas has to play that way. So, I'm hoping for a rebound against Georgia, and Georgia's not going to be easy because they're fighting for their lives too to try to get in the tournament. So, as we've talked all year, it's really hard in that league to go out, and if you don't show up and shoot well, you have trouble really winning.
I want to go up to St. John's, guys. Joe Lenardi has Rick Pitino's Johnnies as a 3 seed right now. Coach B, how do you look at what they've done and how quickly he's been able to rebuild that? I talked about their defense. You watch one possession of them defensively, they suffocate you.
They lay it on the line on the defensive end, and I think that really jumpstarts their offense. And Rick Pitino, certainly, this is not his first rodeo, and he's been there and knows how to get it done, and he's done a phenomenal job. And a lot of people don't remember a lot about the Lou Carnesecca days, but a lot of basketball tradition at St. John's, and they're plenty good. They're capable of getting certainly to the Elite Eight, if not the Final Four.
Lee, they've moved their games to Madison Square Garden for a reason.
Yeah, they're bringing back the old traditions, kind of like Memorial Magic. When they play well and do well, they have a lot of fans in the old Big East, and a lot of fans that want to see them play in Madison Square Garden. So that's been great. And their defense, like Ronnie said, and I've also got a chance this week to watch Houston play. The two of them, they may not score if those two teams play in the tournament. They get after you. I've never seen anybody as strong in all 5 positions at playing defense as those two teams are. And that's going to go a long way in the tournament.
Well, speaking of defense, Tennessee, the best defense statistically in the country, they lost to Ole Miss, though, last night after Jamin Brakefield just went off in the second half for 19 points for the Rebels. Coach B, are you worried about Tennessee now? I mean, there's some hot takes floating around from some people that they may not be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament. Did your opinion change much of Tennessee?
Well, I think Tennessee's a team that can beat anyone, but they're vulnerable to some teams not as good as they are. And we've seen teams like that. They just can't overpower you. They've got to get that third scorer in the lineup, whomever that might be, get that third score. And of course, we got Milicic, I think, is a guy that's kind of the pivotal guy. If he plays well and puts some numbers up and gets double-figure rebounds and 15 or 16 points, they're really hard to beat. But it's a team that has some soft spots, but they also can. Their defense keeps them in a lot of games, and I think they're going to be a hard out. And I think they've got a good chance to get to again the Elite Eight or the Final Four.
Lee, when teams go 5 out against them, it seems to be tough for Tennessee. I mean, they had Brakefield on Akpara last night, and he dominated him. They didn't have anybody that could guard him.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that makes Tennessee struggle, and Ziegler's got to stay out of foul trouble. He's been in foul trouble the first half and 3 out of the last 4 games they played, and that really hurts him. It may have helped him with other guys getting more playing time for the future, but he's got to stay out of foul trouble. He can't get too early fouls because they rely on him so much. But, Ole Miss is a good team. They're playing at home, and they need to win. They dropped out of the top 25. So those kind of games don't surprise me much. But as we've talked about all year, Tennessee has to score and has to shoot the ball well to win. Well, from the first weekend, they may can get away with that. The second and third weekend of the tournament, you've got to play well. If they do play well defensively, that helps them. But you got to be able to score too.
Coach B, Florida took it to Alabama last night in Coleman Coliseum, and they probably have the 2 loudest wins out of any SEC team. They beat Auburn at Auburn. They go and beat Alabama on the road last night. Florida's a team that I think can win the national title. Would you agree?
Well, Condon stepped up and became a huge factor inside, and we know what their perimeter players are capable of doing. So they had the kind of balance you've got to have to advance in the tournament. It would not surprise me in any way to see Florida in the Final Four.
Lee, on the other hand, Alabama, I mean, they don't look as dominant as maybe they've been under NATO. It's still a really good team, but they've gone under some hard times here with a tough SEC schedule. What are your thoughts on Alabama, especially after last night's win?
Well, I think when they're really good, Sears is getting the ball out of his hand some. He's an excellent scorer, but right now I think he's got it in his hand too much, trying to do everything for him, and I think that takes away from their ability to be a really good team. So I know Nate will get that straightened out, and sometimes the best player feels like he's got to carry the load, but in this case, they're plenty good if they get open looks and get the ball around to move the ball. He's still going to be their leading scorer, but they struggle when he gets the ball and won't give it up.
Guys, with this SEC tournament coming up in Nashville next week, it'll be interesting to see how teams at the top like Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and especially Tennessee approach this. How much does it matter? I mean, do you think every coach is sitting here saying, we're going to go all out to win this, Coach B, or is it more of, hey, let's get done what we need to get done, and if we lose, we lose. It's not the end of the world.
It's not in anyone's nature to throw a game or even under-prepare for a game to try to make it up on the back end, in this case, the NCAA tournament. So I don't think anyone's going to give up any territory when they get to the Nashville and play in the tournament.
And Lee, for bubble teams that are looking to get into the NCAA tournament, you would imagine that, I mean, it really matters for them, but does it matter to the committee's eyes if an Oklahoma makes a run or Texas makes a run here, or is that too little too late, you think, for those teams?
No, I think the committee watches a lot of games during this last week before they pick the teams. And so I think if a team like Arkansas or Oklahoma, they can improve their chances and seeding by doing well in this tournament. Ronnie's right. Nobody wants to lose. I think that's the talk after you lose. You say, okay, now we're going to get some rest and got to come back focused and ready to play and work on things you need to. But the good news is those 4 teams to the right, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, they get to sit for two nights. And so by the time they win or lose, everybody else is pretty much gone when they get in the tournament. So you got 6 teams that'll be gone when they play. So that's such an advantage to have a 2-team bye, and those teams have to feel good about it. They're going to be in the top 4 seeds no matter what happens in the tournament. So I think it's those other teams that play the first night and the second night are the ones that really need to win and really need to move forward.
Coach B here in Nashville, Lipscomb is just 2 wins away from clinching an NCAA tournament berth. They've got Queens tonight at Allen Arena. If they win, they play the winner of North Alabama in Jacksonville. Can the Bisons do it?
Yes, they definitely can. They've really played well down the stretch. They've answered the call when they had to. Their defense is good. Their shot selection is excellent for the most part. And I think having those empty possessions on offense cuts down on those runs by the other team. So I think as long as Lipscomb keeps their discipline, and they made a ton of 3-pointers last week, and they're capable of doing that. So I think Lipscomb can do it. It's hard to beat Lenny Acuff on the bench. It's hard to beat Ogdonovich or whatever his name is. I never have, those Belmont guys don't really work hard at pronunciation of Lipscomb's names, but I'll tell you, I really pull for them, and Pruitt and his gang is a hard-nosed group of guys. So yes, they can win it, and they're playing in an arena where they have played very well.
Lee, for the Bisons, if not now, when?
Well, I mean, I think they've got a great coach. He's been a great coach for a long time. And, you don't always win these games that you feel like you should win. But I'm like Ronnie. I wouldn't put it past them winning at this time because they have a really good team. They got great leadership on the court and off the court. So they should be fine. And hopefully, there's always something crazy happens and a half-court shot goes in, this or that. But I feel like if you're looking at the numbers, that they have a great chance to win it.
All right, last thing for me, Coach B, it's a little bit tougher for Belmont. They will play the winner of Illinois State and Missouri State, which is actually going on right now.
Illinois State
won?
In a rout.
Okay, so Illinois State will play Belmont tomorrow. Coach B, what do you know about Illinois State? And then if they win, we know what they've got in Drake here in a couple of days.
Well, Belmont's I'll tell you, Casey has done a phenomenal job coaching that team. When you take 3 sophomores that have been the centerpiece of your team and they're gone and you have to fill in all the blanks because of NIL situations, it is a very, very difficult job. And Casey, I didn't think Casey's team could win 20 games this year, but they kept their record alive and they've had a whole bunch of 20-win seasons in a row. So hats off to Casey and his staff for doing what they did. But they've got some guys that are real pluggers. They're lots of effort. They're very deep on their bench. Matter of fact, sometimes their 9th, 10th guys are better than their starters. So they do have some resources there, but it's going to be very, very hard to advance past the first win. And Illinois State's plenty good.
Lee, did you come up with your final 8?
I did, George.
Okay, hold on to them. I did too. Coach B, come up with, during the commercial break, your final 8.
Hey, my partner in crime, Mr. Fowler, called me last night and prepared. I did my homework, and I've got my final 8.
Excellent. Okay, we'll open up the phone lines after the break. You see the number? Well, some of you see it. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, how else?
Chat room's open on YouTube. It's just to the right of the screen. If you're watching there on a laptop, on your phone, you can swipe up. You can do the same on Twitter and Facebook. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, let's go to the break. We'll talk to you guys and gals next on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 4th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets go on sale to the public this Friday, March the 7th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. Two of the best college basketball programs playing right here in Nashville. Act now. Tickets will go quickly. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today. PancoastBenefits.com or call them at 615-292-3400.
Blue Raider Network.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. Lee's idea that we sort of put on paper our final 8 teams. I guess you call it Elite 8. Lee, let me start with you. Who was your biggest reach? The deepest you went down to get somebody into the Elite 8?
Probably 15th or 16th in the rankings. And that was Memphis.
Okay.
And
trying to suck up, trying to get money somewhere?
Well, George, I'm still trying to get back in good graces down there after you were there for 9 months.
See, that was a pretty good answer.
Did you see how red his face is?
That was hilarious.
I saw it while he was there.
Wow.
So you want to name them off? Is Billy going to write these down?
Oh, yeah. If you're looking for him to do that, probably not. Coach B, what was your biggest stretch?
Well, I've got a couple of stretches. Number one, I'm going to pick 7 teams, and then I'm going to pick a little triangular group of guys. I'm going to pick 3 guys. One of them coming out of there. I've got a couple of long shots. You won't like them at all.
You don't know.
I've got the obvious Houston and Duke. Illinois, a little bit of a surprise pick. I like Oregon coming out from the West, and of course the Big Four from SEC. And in that one slot, I'm going to give you UConn, Marquette, and St. John's. One of those 3, I think, will come out of it, and I think you're going to see one of the Big 4 SEC teams go down early on in the tournament in a shocking upset.
Okay, Lee, I went deep. I've got an 8 seed. Creighton.
Creighton's a good
I like
team.
Creighton. Creighton shoots the ball well, and in the Big Kid Kalkbrenner, even though they may not be as athletic as some other teams, he makes up for some of that. I also have Marquette and St. John's. Marquette right now is a 6 seed. St. John's is a 3. And then I've got a lot of the chalk: Auburn, Duke, Houston, Texas Tech, Florida. Alabama, they ain't getting there.
You know, I left Alabama out too. I've got Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, Duke, St. John's, Houston, Michigan State, Memphis, and my dark horse, since Ronnie named 10 or 11.
Yeah, what's that all about? Pick one out of 3.
Hedge your bet.
My 8th and 9th is St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference.
Oh. And of course, St. Mary's runs more pick and roll. They run it constantly with the point guard, Marshallonis, whose father was a really good NBA player. You really think they're at that point?
I think they're at the point where the thing about them that I was looking at, there are going to be so many SEC schools in and so many Power 5 schools, they're going to be like a 12 or 13 seed. So they're going to get a 4 or 5 real early. And you don't want to play them. They can shoot it. They shoot free throws. They don't turn it over. I mean, they're really a good team. And of course, I got a little bit of extra help from Herb Sendek, who plays against them. He's at Santa Clara, and he says, you know, they've beaten Gonzaga twice this year pretty handily. And Gonzaga's not quite as good as they have been, but they're still a good team. So you know, they've beaten Utah. They beat a couple of teams outside the league, maybe Boise. But anyway, they're a very good team, and you know, whether they'll get that far, they only have to get one upset, and all of a sudden, then they're playing against people that they can beat. So,
by the way, Lenardi has them as a 6 seed.
Does he?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They've beaten Gonzaga twice.
Yep.
The win at St. Mary's was not a big surprise, maybe, but the one at Gonzaga was.
Yeah.
Coach B, any other multiple choice from you? A, B, C, D, E? That was so weird.
Well, hey, you know, there are tournaments going on everywhere, including the high school Division II tournament. And today, there was not an upset because Providence Christian out of Murfreesboro is really good, and they beat Goodpasture, which is probably the second best team. So the pairings put the best 2 teams in the same game today. And then
I don't believe that's true.
Pardon?
I don't believe that's true.
What's that? Because
Battleground Academy just got through beating Goodpasture.
I saw the game, George.
So did I.
Yeah, I was watching it from where I could see what was going on. I saw you over there going for some swag in the concession stand. But
nice. Billy, do you have a question? Coach B, I wish Kelly were here. If I'd known he was going to be this feisty, dadgum.
I mean, I really am partial, and you know how much I love high school basketball. I'm going to see Hillsborough and Beach go at it tonight, which should be a great game at Hillsborough. And so this is the first time in 39 years I haven't been preparing to do the games on TV. So my heart, in a lot of ways, is in Cookeville and in Murfreesboro the next 2 weeks.
DJ on Twitter, he says, if Vandy loses to Georgia and LSU in the SEC tournament, if that's who they play, are we still in the tournament? Also known as, is Vanderbilt a lock right now, no matter what happens?
I think they've got some wins that are just really impressive. So I think that people kind of pull for the underdog. I think somehow or another, I don't think they'll lose to Georgia and LSU if that's who they play in the first round.
Yeah, and I just Sam Newton, a good friend of all three of us. Winning's good, losing's bad. Just keep remembering that. You don't want to lose 2 or 3 games with the people sitting in that room watching you lose, because if they lose to those teams, they're going to probably not play well, and that's not good. So are they a lock? I don't think so. But, I mean, they've definitely done enough to get in the tournament. But, you remember the last things you see. They saw Arkansas. They don't play well at Georgia, and LSU beats them. That's going to not put them in a good situation.
So did Coach Newton say that as the committee chair?
He said that daily as committee chair. And
winning's good, losing's bad.
Yeah, that was.
I wish he had said that to me sometime.
That's what he felt like was important. And of course, his biggest thing was road wins are really good and home losses are really bad.
Really bad.
Oh, yeah. So that was the other part of that.
That winning's good and losing's bad. I think he got that off of Mike Petroni's locker room wall somewhere.
Probably.
Okay. Anything else you all want to leave us with at what is a great time of the year if you're a Hoops fan? Coach B?
Oh, George, I think that everybody, anytime there's a chance for an upset in any level of any tournament, it makes for great conversation. And most of the time you can't really see it coming. But as you said, if St. Mary's were to win a game, and then some teams are much tougher to play against, even though the matchups may look poor for that team. The fact that their system and Indiana State last year, they didn't really look great in a lot of times, but they were hard to play against.
Lee, any final thoughts?
No, people in Memphis told me to tell you hello, and I was talking to a few of them down there, John Albright today, and he said, make sure I said hello to you.
Yeah, he's one of the 4 people that remember me.
That's pretty good. Only 5 remember me, so I was there 16 years, George.
I made quite an impact.
Yeah, there's no question.
Hey,
well, Lee, I think 16 years with Dana Kirk deserves a medal.
Well, only 8 with him. 8 with Charlie Cavanero for 8.
But maybe it felt like dog years.
Yes, it did.
Hey, talk to both of you next week. Thank you,
George. Have a good weekend.
See you.
You too. Okay. Good stuff with the college basketball insiders. Billy, when we come back, guess what we have?
A discussion of your losses last night.
Really?
That was not a good night.
No, probably wasn't. So we'll have quick review of what went on yesterday and a bounce back Thursday when we come back on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey everybody, Chip Walters here. It's the final week of the regular season in Conference USA. This Thursday night, big matchup with the Flames of Liberty. 6:30 tip-off at the Murphy Center. On the air at 6 o'clock on the Blue Raider Network.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
With no credit check and payments as low as $20 a week. Why wait to upgrade your home? At Electronic Express, get everything you need, from premium appliances and TVs to gaming systems and more. Whether it's building your dream home theater or updating your kitchen, we make it affordable and easy. With over 40 years in business, trust us for the best selection, service, and guaranteed low prices. Shop online or at any of our 22 locations across Tennessee and Alabama. Electronic Express, for every moment of your day.
Earlier on Clinton and Friends. Saquon provides an element that is incomparable. I mean, I can't think of the last time we saw a running back that was that dynamic in terms of how they could change a game. Sure, you could have a player that you want to use in the same fashion. It's a copycat league. And maybe your head coaches of the world, your GMs of the world are going to look at that guy and say, you know what? Maybe we overthought this.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. This is Freddie and Harry.
I'll give LeBron James credit for this, Harry Douglas. He's making your boy Freddie Coleman look good. I kept telling people as far back as 10 years ago, this is the best athlete that has ever played in the NBA. Oh, he wasn't better than so-and-so. Oh, he wasn't better. 50,000 points in his career.
What's the noise again, Fred?
That's what they sounded like. It was just like.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Lipscomb hosting Queens tonight in the semifinals of the ASUN tournament at Allen Arena. You've also got TSU in action tonight against Lindenwood. So all kinds of basketball going on. We'll see where George is going tonight with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look, though, at what happened last night, and not a great night. Alabama minus 3.5 didn't work out, and Tennessee minus 2 certainly didn't work out.
Very disappointing. So the record, 41-37-1. We're 4 over 500. That is simply not good enough. So Daddy is about to bring home 2 wins for you. The first one in Murfreesboro, Middle just flat out wins in
Minus
whatever
1.
form or fashion you want to put it. MTSU gets the win, and because of that, pushes Liberty down to 3, and depending on what goes on with Jacksonville State, who knows? Middle might end up being a 1 seed before it's over.
This would
in a
be
tournament in Huntsville.
Huntsville?
Yep.
Okay.
How about that?
The Von Braun Center, is that?
I believe that's
what they
right.
call it, yeah.
Okay, item number 2. I am taking Lipscomb. I think that while that is a very high number, and that concerns me, Lipscomb has not only the opportunity to get to the NCAA, but a little bit of revenge for what went on earlier in the year at Allen Arena. And, Billy, I think that's going to be enough to push them into a double-digit win.
Man, I hope it is, especially with them at home and a chance to continue to play. And if they win, they host the championship against either North Alabama or Jacksonville on Sunday for a little matinee action. So I really hope they get it done. I'm rooting big time for them.
Tomorrow, Mark Griffin will join us for his weekly visit, and we'll ask him, how concerned should Tennessee be that the really good teams that can D it up have caused the Vols some trouble? We'll also get you reports from the Missouri Valley Conference tournament in St. Louis. Belmont will be playing as we're on the air, and Ty Wellemeyer will have reports from the scene. We are done for today. See you tomorrow on 94.9 The Fan.